for your thoughts. And good. I'm not really sure that I tried to tie in like thinking and diamonds, and the picture is completely irrelevant but really cool. It's actually a real human skull that was molded, and then like they used a mold of it and made it in platinum and set all these diamonds, and those are real teeth. So just something to get your brain thinking. Exactly. Happy Father's Day. There you go. Perfect time. So today what I want to talk about is where's the thing? It's not coming up.
You have to aim on the other side.
Oh. There you go. There should be words. Okay, so we'll skip that. So I was going to talk about gemology, skepticism, pop culture, and the end of the world if we can get that far. So the reason why I want to talk about gemology in the realm of skepticism is, so I'm a gemologist. I worked at Gemological Institute of America for about 4 years. I was a diamond grader, and I also took the gemology classes to become a full gemologist, not have just the diamonds certificate. And it was the first time in my life that I was really engaged in like a hard science that was purely skeptical, and I really, really, really liked it. I've always been a bit of a skeptic. I got in a lot of trouble as a kid, asking what I thought were obvious questions in like grade school, you know, and it probably would have gone over better if I wasn't also spending half the time making like fart noises and trying to get people to laugh. There you go. So I did get myself in a fair amount of trouble. And in Sunday school, skepticism is definitely not where you want to be thinking when you're in like 3rd and 4th grade and comparing the timelines of like Jesus' life between 2 different gospels and picking up on little discrepancies, and you know, just that's not what Sunday school is for, right? So the thing about gemology, and the words should, is you start with no assumptions, and I really like that. And you don't decide on anything. So like when you're doing gem identification, you only base what you think about something like a stone that you don't know what it is based purely on what you observe. And this is for a lot of good reasons. Obviously it's the scientific method, but also you don't want to make a really expensive mistake. So if I were to look at this guy right here and say, oh, that's a beautiful ruby, I could be totally wrong about that. And if I think, well, I know enough about gemology, so whatever, I could assume that I know what I'm looking at. But if I were to do a couple of really easy tests in about 5 minutes, I'd figure out that that's actually just a piece of glass, just made to look like a ruby. And if I tell somebody, you know, if you make a mistake like that, you know, it definitely could be a very expensive problem for someone. So what I would do if I'm being a good gemologist is say, well, it's a red faceted thing. That's all I know about it. And then I would do a couple of tests and eventually prove what it is. I do process of elimination, right? So anyways, this was my sort of like, yay moment when I was like, I can totally be skeptical and like totally use just testing and analysis and process of elimination. And anyway, so what I want to do is, talking about diamonds is, let's go back here for just a second, is basically take how all this skeptical stuff that, you know, we should be using in everyday life and apply it to some things that we kind of think about, things like diamonds and stuff. There's a couple of myths that I'm going to get rid of, and then a couple of other things that I'm going to jump into and say, you know, the reality is actually a little cooler if you just think about it. So there's one myth that I want to get rid of right off the top. And, you know, we've all seen like a mystery movie where someone had like, oh, is this the real diamond? How can we tell? And then they'll like scratch a window. You guys have seen this, right? And oh, it scratches glass. It's the diamond. That's not actually very accurate. It's not very helpful. This is the hardness scale. Now, it's not a good scale, but it's good for our purposes. Basically, what I want to point out is anything above 7, so quartz, topaz, ruby, and diamond, anything above 7 will scratch glass. So if you've got a gemstone and you don't know what it is and it scratches glass and you're like, yay, I've got a diamond, you may not. It's, you know, it's not actually a very good test, and let's just call that myth busted. My wife hates the Mythbusters, and I had to throw it in, and you know. Where was I going to go after this? Let's see here.
Busted.
There we go. Oh, so there's no. Is there going to be no text at all? Okay. So the other one that I wanted to address really quickly, and not really bust, but kind of just think about differently, is the idea that diamonds are rare, and it should say, "Are diamonds rare?" And the problem with that is, so thinking about the word rare. it's a really vague term. It's not a good word to use if we're trying to be skeptical or scientific, right? I mean, we're talking about scarcity, but what does that mean? It's a relative term, so there's always got to be something to compare it to. So what I'm just going to go through a couple of examples of how the English language is terrible for comparing things. So just here's a couple of words that are not really very good words, not very good descriptors. So this is Mount Rushmore, right? So it's a mountain, and you've got the president's carved into the face. And if you think about it, like I was wondering, well, what does it take to be a mountain someday? I don't know why I thought this, and I looked it up, and it has to be, there's got to be 2,000 feet of elevation from the base rock, right? So, well, if you look up Mount Rushmore, it's like 1,812 feet tall, so it's not actually a mountain, right? But no one's going to say, well, technically it's not a mountain, so now let's call it Hill Rushmore. I mean, it's Mount Rushmore. You know this. It doesn't really matter, but at some point, somebody arbitrarily decided, well, a mountain, we have to have a dividing line, so let's just say 2,000 feet. Threw that out there. So, whatever. It doesn't really matter, right? Another one. So we've got Minnesota, land of 10,000 lakes. And I actually looked this up one day. I was like, wait, do we really have 10,000 lakes in Minnesota? And it turns out there's 11,482 lakes that are over 10 acres, and 10 acres seems to be that dividing line, right? But for everything that might be called a lake, there's going to be an exception. Well, this one's under 9 acres or something, but you call it a lake for forever, so it's still a lake. And you have the Great Lakes, to the other side of the state, and they're bigger than a lot of other bodies of water that are considered like little oceans or seas. Like, those words are almost totally meaningless, right? If you think about it, like, what is it, for every rule that makes something a lake or a sea or an ocean or whatever, there's going to be at least one, if not more, a few exceptions. So when we talk about these are at least nouns. Like a lake is a noun. I know it's a thing, and there's technically a definition. But when it comes to diamonds being like rare, that word is so vague, it's almost pointless. Now there was a time when diamonds were very scarce, they were hard to come by. But these days, they're actually a pretty common gemstone, and we can prove that by thinking about where can you get diamonds. You can buy diamonds at Kmart. So there's something else going on here that we've always believed they were rare, but I think diamonds are interesting for other reasons other than scarcity, because they're actually the most prolific gem material on the planet. If you think about it, they're carbon, right? Like that song they were talking about how coal is carbon based. Well, what else is carbon based? Most life. Like it's a very common element, so it makes sense that it's actually a pretty prolific gem material, right? So anyways, I just wanted to kind of get that out of the way. So this is Rihanna. We're going to do a couple of pop culture things real quick, and that's what I really want to dig into today. So we all know this song from a few years ago, Diamonds. Remember that song? And it's got that really, you guys don't know this? Oh, you are lucky. It's got that really annoying hook in the middle, shining bright like a diamond. It's terrible. So anyways, and it's not gonna, okay. So there's text there. There's text, good. So the question is, do diamonds shine? And this room has a lot of windows. What I was going to do was a thought experiment where if the lights went off, what we would do, but obviously there's plenty of light, so that doesn't work. Let's imagine we're in a room without windows, and then the lights go off. I just can't imagine anyone saying, hey, who's got a nice pair of diamond studs? Shine the way. Let's find the way out of here. Like, no one would ever do that. We would probably pull out our phone, shine the flashlight on it, and find the light switch or whatever. Like, at no point is anyone going to think, who's got diamonds? If the lights, well, I suppose if you're like a thief or something, I don't know. I didn't think of that, I had that one, but yeah. But diamonds don't shine, we know that. They sparkle, right? There's actually a lot of science that goes into cutting a diamond to get it to sparkle as much as possible. So, obviously the answer to this is no, of course not. And then should be more, okay. This, however, is a really cool phenomenon that a lot of people don't know about. Now, this isn't shining bright so much, but these diamonds are definitely glowing. So what's happening here, and this is, I think, where the reality is kind of cooler than the fiction, is these are in a dark environment, and there's shortwave ultraviolet light shining on these diamonds. And as you can see, there's kind of a spectrum between very strong and none at all. This is fluorescence. And what's happening is there's trace elements in diamonds, in most diamonds, like nitrogen usually, that gives them the ability to take ultraviolet light, which is not visible, and convert it into visible light. So you've got the carbon atom, and you've got some trace elements around, and those electrons, they get excited and they jump around, and sometimes that produces light. So I don't know if this is what Brianna was thinking about, but I think that's a really cool thing that a lot of people don't know about. And a fair amount of diamonds will shine under UV light. But the really cool thing is that it gets even cooler than this. So, what's the most well-known diamond in the world, right?
Hope diamond.
All right, so I was going to say Neil diamond. Actually, no, I'm kidding. So the Hope diamond is definitely the most famous diamond. It's a 42.08 carat medium, slightly grayish blue diamond, which is pretty big. It's about like that. It's a good size, rock. If you threw it at someone, it would definitely hurt, right? Now the really cool thing about the Hope diamond is it doesn't just fluoresce under shortwave ultraviolet light. It does something even cooler, and it's not going to fluoresce blue like those other diamonds you saw. See, because of the boron, instead of nitrogen in this diamond as trace elements, you get this really cool blue color for the body color under regular light, but under shortwave ultraviolet, check this out. It's like blood red. Not only does it glow like this, I tried to find a video and I couldn't find a good video of this, but the reality is if you turn off the light, this diamond continues to glow for about 2 to 3 minutes and it slowly fades. And I just think that's the coolest thing in the world. I mean, this is a diamond everyone knows about, but this is like the coolest part of it that somehow this just hasn't become world famous. I don't know how. To me, it's just really awesome. So, I mean, we know diamonds don't shine, but they can emit light in really cool ways, and I think that's just cool to think about. Now, the other line of that song is not really original to Rihanna, but there's a line in the chorus that says, like, diamonds in the sky, right? And you guys even sang a song just a minute ago, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Now, that song might be about LSD. I don't know, maybe not. But there's a really cool diamond called Lucy, named after the Beatles song. And it's named that for a very cool reason. So this is BPM 37093, that's what it's called. And this is in the Centaurus constellation. And this is a white dwarf. It's a little bit bigger than the mass of our sun, and it's mostly made of oxygen and carbon. Now carbon's heavier than oxygen, so what happens is, in the life cycle of these white dwarfs, when they start to burn themselves out and they start to collapse on themselves a little bit, the carbon's going to go to the center. And the really cool thing is, there's been this theory for a long time that has very recently been shown to be very likely, is that the carbon probably goes to the center and probably crystallizes to some form of diamond. And there's been some spectroscopy and stuff that's been done very recently that shows that this is actually a very likely scenario. So there's these class of white dwarf stars that might actually be giant diamonds up in the sky. Which again, I don't think anybody was thinking about that, but how awesome is that, right? This is an artist's rendering, which doesn't really make any sense, but that may be somewhat what it might look like. And there's been a lot of cool science fiction about these kinds of stars for about the last 50 or 60 years. There's been a few stories where, interstellar trade agreements happen and you've got people going out harvesting diamond cores from stars. I don't know how they get past the fact that the star is still literally burning at millions of degrees. But if you could get the engineering, to work, that would be pretty cool, because that's a giant diamond, right? So I wanted to kind of talk about that one real quick. And there's one other little guy. Oh yeah, plausible. Sorry. So Mythbusters tie in there. Where am I going? Oh yeah. The other one I wanted to talk about then, real quick. The idea, this phrase, diamonds are forever. Now, it's kind of esoteric, like diamonds are forever. What does that even mean? Kind of like diamonds are rare. These are just, it's kind of a vague term. Like, I don't think we're thinking of infinity here, right? Diamonds are forever is actually an advertising slogan that De Beers came up with through the first American advertising agency back in the turn of the 20th century, A.W. Sayers and Sons. So basically, they had discovered a whole bunch of diamond mines, and now you have this thing that was once very scarce, and they have this huge supply, and they didn't want to depress the market to the point that they couldn't sell them, so they had this huge advertising campaign, and it's been so prolific that we've all heard these terms, and it's almost like common knowledge. The really cool thing about diamonds, kind of if you think about it in the time aspect, is there's almost some truth to this. So you have to think about where diamonds form, right? So diamonds form about 100 miles below the surface of the Earth. You need about 1,300 to 1,600 degrees, right? And that with the carbon and all the stuff necessary, and you get this crystal diamond forming over a few 100 million years, right? And now it's 100 miles down. So it takes a long time to get to the surface, right? So what we figured out is so here's the age of the Earth, right? The youngest diamonds that anybody has, in jewelry or whatever, that we've discovered that have made their way finally up to the surface of the Earth are about 1 billion years old, right? So that's right, here-ish. And 1.2 billion years is right about the dividing line where sexual reproduction evolved, which is pretty cool if you think about it. Like, that diamond might predate sexual reproduction, because the oldest ones then that we know of are about 3.3 billion years, which is right about where life emerged in the first place. And that's a significant percentage of the age of the Earth. To me, that's just mind-boggling. Like, so this thing that you have on your finger, I don't actually have one on today, but anyone in here who has one, if you think about it, it's literally older, possibly older than life itself, right? It's been around for billions of years, for like 70% possibly of the age of the Earth. So when we say diamonds are forever, I know it's just an advertising slogan, but when you dig a little deeper, I think that is absolutely remarkable. And it gets a little cooler than that. If we go here, so see where now is, right? This is the age of our sun, the life cycle, right, of our sun. So we're about 4.6 or 7 billion years into that life cycle, right? Now, at about 5 billion years from now, it's going to do this red giant thing where it expands enormously and destroys the first 3 planets in our solar system. It's just going to go like this and eat them up. So I don't know who's going to be around then. We probably won't, I don't know if there will be life at all. I don't know what's going to happen in 5 billion years. I don't think anyone knows. But one thing that I can say for sure is all the diamonds that we have right now in jewelry and jewelry stores are still on the ground, are still going to be around. They're going to outlive us. And they're going to be here when the Earth finally gets consumed by its host star and, completely destroyed. And I think that's just awesome to think about. I don't know if diamonds are literally forever, even though literally can mean figuratively now. But they're going to outlast a lot of things, right? And I think that's just wild. You can buy diamonds anywhere. And diamonds are really cool. They have these great properties, and they're so old. They're literally almost as old as the planet itself. And we just wear them as jewelry. And I just think that's really cool to think about. Like, this thing on my finger could be so old, it's older than any of the dinosaurs we've ever heard of. When we think of like dinosaurs, we're talking about hundreds of millions of years, right? This is just, to me, is just wild. So kind of just wanted to close with that. And oh yeah, well there we go. There was text. So it's fine. We'll figure that out later. But yeah, so that's all I wanted to say. So thank you. And